You know what nobody wants to talk about these days? How to live on very little money. Everyone is obsessed with how to invest millions, how to manage wealth, how to optimize their portfolio. But let me tell you something from 99 years of living on this earth. If you can manage living on very little, you never manage living with a lot. I am sitting here at 99 years old, and I've been thinking a lot lately about the early days, the days when I didn't have much. And you know what I learned back then that still serves me today? One of the great defenses, if you are worried about inflation, is not to have a lot of silly needs in your life. If you don't need a lot of material goods, inflation can hurt you. Let me take you back for a minute. I remember the 5-cent hamburger and the 40-cent per hour minimum wage. I've seen a tremendous amount of inflation in my lifetime. Did it ruin the investment climate? I think not. And you know why? Because the people who understood how to live below their means, who understood the difference between needs and wants, they did just fine. But today, I look around and I see people making $30,000 a year, and they reliving like they make $100,000. Then they wonder why they always broke. And the answer is so obvious it is painful. They don't understand the basic mathematics of life. You know what a low income actually is in America? According to federal guidelines, it is about $14,580 annually for one person and $30,000 for a family of 4. Now, that is genuinely not much money. But here is what is fascinating to me. People at this income level can still build wealth if they rational about it. And people making 10 times that much can stay broke forever if they irrational. Being rational is a moral imperative. You should never be stupider than you need to be. And you know what? Most financial advice is making people stupider, not smarter. Let me tell you about Mozart for a second, because this illustrates something really important about human nature. Mozart, brilliant musician, maybe the best innate musical talent ever. But from the start, he was pretty miserable. You know why? He overspent his income his entire life. That will make you miserable. Doesn't matter how talented you are. Doesn't matter how much money you make. If you spend more than you earn, you will be miserable. So let's talk about how to actually live on very little money and not be miserable. Let's talk about being rational instead of being stupid. The first thing you need to understand is what I call the 4 walls. And I am not talking about the physical walls of your house, though that is part of it. I am talking about your basic necessities. The things you absolutely must have to survive. Food, shelter, utilities, transportation to work. Everything else, and I mean everything, is optional. Now, most people hear that and they immediately start making excuses. But Charlie, I need my gym membership. No, you don't, T. But Charlie, I need to eat out sometimes. But Charlie, I need new clothes. No, you don't, T. You know what you need. You need to eat. You need a place to sleep. You need to not freeze to death. You need to get to work. That is it. That is the list. I remember when I was young working in law, I didn't waste money on things that didn't matter. You know what I spent money on? Books. Because books were an investment in myself, everything else. I just didn't care about it. Let me talk to you about debt for a minute, because this is where most people on low incomes destroy themselves. When you don't have any payments, you have control of your most powerful wealth building tool, your income. You are much more likely, and it is much easier to build wealth when you stay out of giving everybody else your money. I've watched people take on debt their whole lives, and you know what happens. They become slaves, absolute slaves to their payments. Car payment, credit card payment, student loan payment, personal loan payment. By the time they done paying everyone else, there is nothing left. You know what Warren and I never did. We never borrowed money to buy things that depreciate. Never. And when we did borrow money, which was rare, it was only to buy things that would make us more money. There is this thing people talk about now called the debt snowball. You list out all your debts from smallest to largest, regardless of the interest rate, pay minimum payments on everything, and attack that smallest debt first with everything you've got. And you know what? It works. Not because it is mathematically optimal, but because it is psychologically smart. People need wins. They need to feel like they're making progress. And when you pay off that first small debt, even if it is just $500, you get a taste of freedom. And that taste makes you hungry for more. But here is where people go wrong. They pay off a debt, and then instead of attacking the next one, they go celebrate, they treat themselves, they buy something they don't need because they feel like they've earned it. That is the stupidity I am talking about. That is being less rational than you should be. Now let me talk to you about food, because this is where I see the most waste. People on low income spending 30, 40, 50% of their money on food, and not even good food, processed garbage that is making them sick. You want to know how to eat well on almost no money. You cook. You cook everything from scratch. You buy the cheap generic brands that are made in the exact same factory as the expensive brands. You meal plan so you are not buying things you want to use. I remember reading about people during the Great Depression, and you know what they did. They made every dollar stretch. They didn't waste a single thing. If they had beans and rice, they made beans and rice. And you know what? They survived. More than survived, many of them thrived because they learned the discipline of frugality. No restaurants. You hear me? If you are broke and living on a low income, you really shouldn't be spending a significant portion of your paycheck on eating food at a restaurant. Eat your money faster than you eat your food. And no fancy coffee either. I know everyone loves their Starbucks or whatever coffee shop they go to, but if you are spending $5 a day on coffee, that is $150 a month over a year. That is $1,800. For coffee, you know what you can do with $1,800 if you are on a low income? You can change your entire life. You can pay off a debt. You can build an emergency fund. You can invest in learning a skill that makes you more valuable. But instead, people drink it. They literally drink away their financial future. One fancy coffee at a time. Make your coffee at home. Buy the beans you like. Make it exactly how you want it. And save yourself thousands of dollars a year. It is not complicated, transportation. Let me talk about that for a minute. Cars are one of the biggest wealth destroyers I've ever seen. People buy cars they can afford, with payments they can barely make. And then they wonder why they always broke. You want to know what I think about car loans? They stupid, borrowing money to buy something that loses value the second you drive it off the lot. That is not smart. That is the opposite of smart. If you are on a low income and you need a car, you buy the cheapest reliable car you can find with cash. You don't care what it looks like. You don't care if it is cool. You care if it gets you from point A to point B without breaking down. Better yet, if you can avoid having a car altogether, do it. Use public transportation, carpool with coworkers, ride a bike walk, because every month you are not making a car payment, not paying for insurance, not paying for gas and maintenance. That is money you can use to build wealth. Energy consumption. Here is another area where people just bleed money. They leave lights on in empty rooms. They run the air conditioning or heat when they're not home. They use hot water for everything. You know what is free? Hanging your clothes outside to dry instead of using the dryer. Washing your clothes in cold water instead of hot. Turning off lights when you leave a room. Adjusting your thermostat a few degrees. These things sound small, but they add up. And when you are on a low income, everything adds up. Every dollar you save is a dollar you can invest in getting yourself out of poverty. Subscriptions, my God, Don T, even get me started on subscriptions. Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, Spotify, gym memberships, all of it. People are spending $100, $200 a month on subscriptions they barely use. You want to know my rule on subscriptions? Don't have any. If you are on a low income, you cannot afford to throw away money on entertainment subscriptions. You just can use the library. It is free. You can get books, movies, music, even classes, all for free at your local library. But people don't do it because it requires a tiny bit more effort than clicking a button on their remote. That is laziness destroying your financial future. That is choosing convenience over wealth. And that is a choice you are going to regret when you are 70 years old with no savings. Clothes, you don't need new clothes. You really don't. You need clothes that fit and aren't falling apart, but they don't need to be new. Thrift stores, hand-me-downs from friends and family. These are perfectly fine options. You buy clothes to wear. They don't need to be branded or trendy for them to give you what you need. Save the fashion statements for when you are wealthy. Right now, you need function, not form. Insurance. Here is something people don't think about. If you raise your deductible, your monthly payment goes down. Now, I know what you are thinking, but Charlie, I have to pay more if something happens, maybe. But here's the thing. If you are on a low income and something catastrophic happens, you are in trouble either way. The real question is, what is more likely, a catastrophic event, or you needing that extra $30 or $40 a month to pay your bills and build an emergency fund? For most people, the answer is obvious. Take the higher deductible, save the money every month, and build up a cash cushion. That cash cushion is your real insurance. Also compare insurance rates, Don. Just stick with the same company because it is what you've always had. Shop around. You might find you can save $100 a month just by switching companies. Now, budgeting, this is critical. You absolutely cannot get control of your money unless you budget. And I don't care how good you think you are at keeping track in your head. You are not. Nobody is. A written budget. That is what you need. And it is simple. You track every penny you earn. You track every penny you spend. And you make sure every single dollar has a job. When you divide your money correctly, when you tell it where to go instead of wondering where it went, you find that you feel richer every single day. Here's the thing about budgeting that people don't understand. When you lay it out and stick to it, it feels like you got a raise. Why? Because your money was so out of control before. That just getting it organized makes you feel wealthier. Saving automatically, this is huge. You never get rich if you don't save. But if you wait until the end of the month to save what is left over, there won't be anything left over. There never is. So you make savings a bill. First dollar that comes in, you pay yourself. Even if it is just $20, even if it is just $10, you save it before you do anything else. And you never ever touch that money unless it is a genuine emergency. Don't save what is left after spending. Spend what is left after saving. Warren says that, and he is absolutely right. That is the whole game, entertainment and activities. You don't need to spend money to have fun. You really don't. Some of the best times I've had in my life didn't cost a penny. Conversations with interesting people, reading a great book, taking a walk. But people today think they need to spend money to enjoy themselves. Go to expensive restaurants, see movies in theaters, take vacations they can afford. And then they wonder why they always stressed about money. If you are on a low income, your entertainment needs to be free or nearly free. Play board games you already own. Have friends over instead of going out. Find free events in your community. Use your imagination, education, and self-improvement. This is the one area where I would spend money even on a low income. But I spend it wisely. Books from used bookstores or the library. Free online courses. Skills you can learn that will make you more valuable in the marketplace. It has been my experience in life. If you just keep thinking and reading, you don't have to work. Now, what I mean by that is, if you invest in your mind, if you make yourself more valuable, opportunities will come to you. You won't have to chase them. In my whole life, I have known no wise people who didn't read all the time. None, zero. And reading is essentially free if you use the library. There is no excuse not to be constantly learning and improving yourself. Let me talk to you about the psychology of living on a low income, because this is where most people fail. They compare themselves to others. They see their friends and neighbors buying new cars, going on vacations, wearing nice clothes, and they feel poor. Envy and jealousy. These are two of the 10 commandments. And Warren says it all the time. It is not greed that drives the world, but envy. That envy will destroy you financially faster than anything else. You need to get comfortable living below your means, not just comfortable, proud of it, because living below your means is what gives you options. It is what gives you freedom. It is what allows you to build wealth even on a low income. I don't care if somebody makes a lot of money and holds it like a miser. Most people have a vast propensity to spend, helped by spouses and children. But if you can resist that propensity, if you can be rational about your spending, you can build wealth on almost any income, DIY everything. If something needs to be fixed, you fix it yourself. If something needs to be cleaned, you clean it yourself. Every time you pay someone else to do something you could do yourself, you are throwing away money. Now, I am not saying you should be your own brain surgeon. Some things require expertise, but most household repairs and maintenance, you can learn how to do that. YouTube has tutorials for everything. The library has books on everything. You just have to be willing to put in the effort. And you know what happens when you cut your costs by 50% by doing things yourself? You free up 50% of your money to save and invest. Selling old stuff. If you have things lying around your home that you don't use, convert them into cash. Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, garage sales. When you are on a low income, every dollar matters. And when you sell that stuff, you don't use the money to buy more stuff. You use it to pay down debt or build your emergency fund. You use it to move yourself forward financially. Housing, let me talk about this for a minute because it is usually the biggest expense. If you are on a low income and you are spending more than 25–30% of your income on housing, you are in trouble. You need to find a way to reduce that cost. Get a roommate, move to a cheaper place. If you own a home, rent out a spare room, whatever it takes to get that housing cost under control. I've even seen people who rent out their parking space if they don't have a car. Drastic measures can lead to drastic results. And when you are trying to build wealth on a low income, you need drastic results. Staycations instead of vacations. You know what a staycation is? It is when you take time off work but you don't go anywhere. You explore your own area. You visit local attractions you've never been to. You relax at home. Broke people should not go on vacations. I don't care how much you think you deserve it. If you are in debt and living paycheck to paycheck, you cannot afford to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on a vacation. It is financially irresponsible. Generic brands, I mentioned this earlier, but it bears repeating. Generic brands are made in the same factories as name brands. You are getting the exact same quality for less money. Always buy generic, always shop at cheaper grocery stores. There are differences in prices between grocery stores. If you are shopping at the expensive store when there is a cheaper one available, you are wasting money. Find the cheapest store in your area and shop there. Coupons and discounts, use them. Ask for discounts. Pay with cash and ask for a discount. You'd be surprised how often stores will give you a better deal if you just ask air filters. This is a weird one but important. Replace your air filters regularly. It costs $20 to $50 a year, but it can extend the life of your furnace by 10 years. That is a 20-to-1 return on investment, maybe better. Gas rewards programs and apps. If you have to drive, use these. They can save you real money. Not a fortune, but when you are on a low income, every dollar counts now. Let me talk about the future because here is what I've learned over 99 years. The economy goes up and down. Markets crash and recover, industries rise and fall. But the fundamental principles of building wealth never change. Spend less than you earn. Avoid debt like the plague. Invest in yourself. Be patient. Don't do stupid things. If you are living on a low income right now in 2023, or if you find yourself in that situation in 2025 or 2026 or whenever, these principles will still apply. They applied in the Great Depression. They applied when I was young. They apply 100 years from now. It is remarkable how much long-term advantage people like us have gotten by trying to be consistently not stupid, instead of trying to be very intelligent. You don't need to be smart to build wealth on a low income. You just need to not be stupid, and not being stupid means living below your means. It means avoiding debt. It means distinguishing between needs and wants. It means having the discipline to delay gratification. Spend each day trying to be a little wiser than you were when you woke up. Discharge your duties faithfully and well. Slug it out 1 inch at a time, day by day. At the end of the day, if you live long enough, most people get what they deserve. You deserve financial stability. Then make rational decisions. You deserve wealth. Then live below your means and invest the difference. You deserve freedom. Then avoid debt and build up cash reserves. It is all there, waiting for you. You just have to be willing to do what 99% of people want to do. Live like you are poor even when you are not. Save when others spend, invest when others consume. That is how you build wealth on a low income. That is how you build wealth on any income. And that is the secret Ivy learned over 99 years of living. Now go do it.